Keep fighting. I mean, that's what this team is about. We never give up. We just continue to fight no matter what the circumstances are. And at a point in time in that game, our backs were against the wall. It seemed like the game was over, but we just kept at it and made plays down the stretch and came out with a win.
We all believe in one another, and coaches believe in us. He's going to put guys in position to succeed on the court. So I believe Evan Turner made great plays down in the stretch, and of course Isaiah hit some tough shots, and Avery hit some tough shots. So guys just really stepped in and stepped up for one another.
The Celtics pull off an unbelievable comeback and win 139-134 in overtime against the Clippers in the final game before the All-Star break. We got a lot to talk about here.
Big one.
On the Garden Report, powered by Grandstand on CLNS Radio and Celtics Blog.
Yes, I'm the boss.
Welcome to the show. I am Jared Weiss from CLNS Radio. I'm joined by my confidant and good friend, Jimmy Toscano, rocking the horizontal stripes and pulling it off. I'm very impressed by this.
Just another day.
It's another day in the fashion game. The Celtics came out looking fly as hell because they won 139-134 in a game that they clearly were going to lose up until Isaiah Thomas just took over the game again, in a game in which Chris Paul was was pretty much perfect the entire game.
Chris Paul-like.
And he burned out at the end of that game there, missed some crucial shots, and then Isaiah Thomas just made
48 minutes.
Some of those classic Isaiah Thomas plays that are now classic because he's doing it like every single night. But the scoring, like taking like a fall away 15-footer over DeAndre Jordan on like a rainbow shot was that the one that tied up? I mean, he had so many incredible plays to get them back in this game.
That was Paul Pierce-esque.
It really was.
It
really was.
He
pushed off, got the separation, jumped back, and by the way, Isaiah Thomas, his broad jump is like crazy. It's like Jamie Collins like on his broad jump.
Yeah, probably. Listen, you said we saw vintage Chris Paul. I think we saw vintage Isaiah Thomas. And what that means to me is a guy who can just score from all over the court. And I swear to God, every time he drives to the hoop, I see people collapse. Like for, I don't know, some guy named DeAndre Jordan, for example, he still gets it in. He still lays it in. Somehow he just contorts his body in these ways, and just being a lefty helps. Being a lefty definitely helps him, because I think guys in the heat of the moment forget that he scores lefty. That's his go-to. But the guy is just coming through on a nightly basis now, and that's why he's going straight to Toronto from here. He deserves it. I mean, he's the main reason that this team is in third place in the Eastern Conference right now.
It's funny, I actually said to him as he was walking away after the game, I said, "Enjoy Toronto, man." He said, "I'll try."
Yeah.
I think he's a little worn out from everything.
I think he's overwhelmed too.
Yeah. And everyone on the team has talked about how huge of a moment it is for him and for the whole team. Yeah. This is a team that I think feels really validated by having an all-star because of the way that they've been labeled and talked about. But they went up against a juggernaut who's, they're having their issues. And, of course, they didn't have Blake Griffin tonight, which, I mean, they haven't had, they haven't had him all year, and they've been good without him. But they looked like a really good title-contending team, disregard the fact that Golden State is probably going to sweep through the playoffs. But they went up against a really great team with one of the greatest players of his generation playing at his best, and they came out on top because Isaiah was incredible, and then Evan Turner he pulled off some unbelievable stuff there. He had that pull up where he kind of did the same kind of move that Isaiah did, jumping away from DeAndre Jordan, hit that shot. Then he drives to the rim, draws a foul, and sneaks one by DeAndre Jordan. And then he caps it off with a great fadeaway shot from the right elbow to take what was the Celtics falling apart early in overtime, and they're going on this incredible run where Soldier hit a three, Bradley hit a three, all of a sudden they're right in it, and then Turner comes in and takes over. I mean, that was an absolute clinic of late-game performance there, of having not only great shooting, but having some incredible iso ball.
No, and these guys, they don't quit. We know this. I mean, if you've watched one game of the Celtics this year, you probably saw an example of them not quitting. I mean, and you've gotten 3 over the past 5 days. You got Cleveland, you've got Milwaukee, although they came up short, and then you've got tonight against, and you have tonight. So here's the thing about Evan Turner. This guy flips the switch in the fourth quarter. Not to say that he's a bad player through 3 quarters, but in the fourth quarter, he is, it's either him or Isaiah, sometimes Bradley. They've got a couple options, but when the ball's in Evan Turner's hands, you're happy with that. You want that. And there's actually a point in the game where they were trying to get the ball to Turner. Isaiah didn't make the pass, and Stevens called the timeout because he didn't like what was happening. He wanted the ball in Turner's hands. sure enough, coming out of that timeout, it got into Turner's hands. He actually turned it over. But I don't agree with that call. I don't think that ball went off Turner's knee. But the point I'm making is, or the same point you're making, he's been coming through in the clutch for them all year.
And this is a guy that was almost on the fringes for a little while, but I think everyone forgot what Evan Turner can do. And you know,
he has some haters out there.
He does, and they're never going to go away. But one thing that they did really well with him tonight was they got him into mismatches. They were able to get switches where he was able to put smaller guys on the block or take guys like DeAndre Jordan out on the perimeter. Getting those one-on-ones on DeAndre Jordan. I mean, Jordan's reach is like incredible.
Yeah.
But the Celtics
they were going after Jordan.
They did a great job of driving right at him and then popping back really quickly. Whether it was Isaiah Thomas or Evan Turner, they made use of that kind of attack at Jordan a lot, and that's how they got a lot of those buckets late in the game.
No, and I agree with you completely. I mean, and this is these guys, they're down, like we said, they're down 6, was it? And you're thinking, okay, Marcus Smart fouled out, Jay Crowder fouls out,
Kelly Olynyk's shoulder's gone.
Kelly Olynyk's out of the game. Amir Johnson looked to be a little banged up. I guess he had his back wrapped up on the bench.
They Mickey isn't in the game for some reason. I mean, there's a lot
Jordan
of variables
Mickey not
here.
dressed. Jared Sullinger comes in, drains the 3. We talked about this. These guys, they are what Doc Rivers called after the game junkyard dogs. They keep coming at you. They play harder than you. They play tougher than you. They're not the most talented team out there. The Clippers have more talent than them. The Clippers, in my opinion, are a top 5 team. I think they're the number 5 team right now. I mean, if we're talking power rankings, Celtics are right behind them. But coming into this game, I thought the Clippers were a better team. They still might be, but the Celtics outplay you. What they lack in talent, they make up for in effort. And that is the difference, and that was the difference tonight.
And like Doc said, it's the tenacity and the athleticism. And they've always got 5 guys on the court that can jump out at you, and they will stick with you out of sheer will. And the fact that they did it at the end there without the guys that lead the charge on that in Crowder and Smart, I thought was pretty remarkable.
I agree.
And it's a huge way to go into the break. So we're going to go to our break. We're going to come back for part 2. We're going to talk about, of course, Paul Pierce, and then take a look at the future for the Celtics after the All-Star break with the trade deadline coming up. Before we go, Grandstand play of the game, obviously. Go to grandstand.me or go to the App Store to download Grandstand, and you can be one of the fans in the stands using Grandstand. Let's take a look at what we found tonight.
I try to be aggressive, and I know a lot of people fade in those moments, but I just always take great pride in trying to perform down the stretch, and most importantly, getting a win.
That's who they are. Playing hard is a skill. It ain't just everyone just can't do it. There's guys that are energy players, and there's guys who don't play with energy. And this team has the Celtics have a whole team full of energy players and talented energy players. So we knew that coming into the game, and they at the end of the day it won out for them.